2 days later, and I still have no idea how Texas won that football game. How did the Horns do it, and what does it mean for the rest of the season? Let's dive in on today's episode of Locked On Longhorns. Intro.
You are Locked On Longhorns, your daily podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You are locked on to the Texas Longhorns. I'm your host, BK, Brad Kellner, Texas grad, Austin local, and longtime sports radio host here in the Lone Star State. Thank you for making Locked On Longhorns a part of your day every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. We will get to Diana Rossini's Saturday morning report about Steve Sarkisian considering a move to the NFL a little bit later on. But first, wow. What a game Saturday in Starkville. And I owe all of you an apology for not posting a post-game show on Saturday nights. Fall weddings. Brutal. Having to watch that comeback on a 6-inch screen tucked away inside a tuxedo jacket. Not ideal, but hey, it made the rest of the night way more fun. Enough about me. What a game. What a comeback. What a win for your Texas Longhorns. There are two ways that you, Texas Longhorn fan, can view Texas 45, Mississippi State 38 in overtime. You can go glass half empty and say, really? We needed a 17-point fourth quarter comeback and overtime to beat a team that hasn't won an SEC game in more than 2 years. Or you can go glass half full and say, we just completed the third biggest fourth quarter comeback in school history. And we just became only the fifth team in the SEC since 2019 to win back-to-back true road games in consecutive weeks. And our offense just went out there and won us a football game for the first time all year. And hey, we're right in the mix in the SEC going into the month of November. I'm going to go with option number 2. We're going glass half full here on a Victory Monday. And hey, regardless of which option you choose, the facts are the facts. That win on Saturday kept the Longhorns SEC championship and college football playoff hopes alive. The standings do not care about stats. They do not care about eye tests. They don't care how much you were down by. They only care about who wins and who loses. And Texas found a way somehow to win in Starkville. Since we're being positive in this segment, we're going to ignore what happened in quarters 1 through 3, and we're going to jump right to quarter number 4. We'll get to what went wrong in the first 45 minutes at some point this week, but let's start with the good. How about Arch Manning and the Texas offense? There was a long lull. First of all, it was great to see. Here I am saying we're not going to talk about the first 3 quarters, and now I'm talking about the opening drive of the game. It was great to see Texas score a touchdown on its first possession. This team has really struggled offensively early in games against Power 4 competition all season long. How about a 2-play touchdown drive on possession number 1? You get the 60-yard bubble screen to Ryan Wingo, and then boom, 1 play later, the Arch Manning rushing touchdown. It was a perfect start. Texas forces a 3-and-out on defense. They get the ball back. They march down the field. They score very easy and very quickly, and that was nice to see. But, then a lot of a lull until the fourth quarter and overtime. And that's when the Texas offense absolutely turned it on when they needed to. Game on the line, but more so season on the line. How about the final 4 offensive possessions on Saturday afternoon for your Longhorns? 233 yards, more than 8 yards per play, and they scored 24 points. That's 3 touchdowns and a field goal, an average of 6 points per possession. That will work. Yes, the second half against Oklahoma was great, but we hadn't seen anything like that against a Power 4 team from this offense all season long. And of course, they needed every bit of it to overcome that 17-point fourth quarter deficit in the final 10 minutes. If I may, let me mention this. Entering Saturday, teams had lost 429 straight games when trailing by at least 17 points with 10 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Texas just broke that streak, of course, scoring 24 unanswered to close out the game and get that overtime win over Mississippi State. Of course, the defense and obviously the special teams played huge roles in the comeback. But the Texas offense going 80-yard touchdown drive in less than 3 minutes, 75-yard touchdown drive in less than 3 minutes, 53-yard field goal drive in just over 3 minutes, and then, of course, the 25-yard touchdown drive in the untimed overtime period. That was the difference, and that was the biggest surprise of the entire game, right? The defense coming up clutch and not giving up a point in the final 10 minutes. We've seen that before. We've seen that a lot. The surprising part for the Texas defense was everything that went wrong. Again, we'll get to that later. Ryan Niblett returning a punt for a touchdown. We've seen that before too. So I'm not stunned that Niblett made a huge play. I'm not stunned that the defense came up with some clutch stops because we've seen that before. But once again, we hadn't seen an offensive explosion like that in 2025. And how about the quarterback? Hell, how about both quarterbacks? We'll get to Caldwell in a moment, but Arch Manning, he put the team on his back in this football game. With zero run game to speak of, Arch Manning made big play after big play to lead this offense down the stretch. 29 of 46, 346 yards through the air, 3 passing touchdowns, had a rushing touchdown as well. Did have an interception, but it was a ball that hit Parker Livingston right in both of his hands. It would have been a tough catch. He took a hit, but wasn't like a poorly thrown ball from Arch by any stretch. And there were a few other drops in there to speak of as well. I mean, Arch Manning made some incredible throws. The deep shot to Wingo, a couple of great sideline balls as well. The touchdown to Livingston, his first touchdown to Emmett Mosley. He was fantastic. And oh, by the way, there was pressure in his face constantly again. And once again, little to no help from the Texas running backs. 24 pressures for Mississippi State on Saturday, 5 sacks. Mississippi State had 10 sacks total in their first 7 games of the year. They had 5 on Saturday, thanks to the Texas offensive line that has now made Florida, Kentucky, and Mississippi State, 3 teams that had 0 pass rush stats before they played the Longhorns. Texas has done a very good job of making some average at best pass rushers look really, really good. But back to Arch, he was incredible. The highest graded player on the Texas offense. He earned every bit of it. It was his best game of the season. It was a gritty performance. He was involved in every regulation touchdown outside of the Ryan Niblett punt return, and he made so many big plays, especially on 3rd down in the second half. Now, the wide receivers deserve a ton of credit too. Don't get me wrong. A lot of Arch Manning's yardage were yards after the catch. Those guys ran great routes. They made some great catches, a lot of toe taps in big spots. They deserve a bunch of credit. But Arch was really good, really good. He was the straw that stirred the drink for the Texas comeback. And, of course, the unfortunate moment, very first play of overtime, Arch Manning goes down, being treated for a concussion. It did not look good. We'll get an update from Steve Sarkisian later this morning. Now we're just waiting to see if Arch will be ready to go 5 days from now for this huge matchup against Vanderbilt. That sucks. And look, that's been my fear. Like, I know we've talked about this before here on Locked On Longhorns. With how many hits Arch Manning had been absorbing and with how little help he had been getting from the run game, like I wondered if he was going to be able to hold up all year, like similar to John Mateer and the conversation that Oklahoma people were having about him. Like he was their leading rusher. He was obviously their quarterback. He was taking a ton of hits, and it's like it's just a matter of time before that dude gets hurt. Well, obviously he got hurt, came back for the Texas game. We all enjoyed how that one went, but it just felt like I don't care how big you are. I don't care how strong you are. I don't care how good you are. In this conference with these defenders, it's hard to take that many hits and just get right back up off the mat every single time. He's dealt with a lot, and hate for him that happened, and hopefully he's okay to go again Saturday morning against Vandy. But we got to give Matthew Caldwell his flowers too, don't we? I mean, in the tiniest of sample sizes, Matthew Caldwell is like Houston Street out there, the way he's closing out games for Texas. He played 2 plays, both in overtime. He had a handoff, and then, of course, the game-winning touchdown pass to Emmett Mosley in overtime, called incomplete, then overturned and ruled a touchdown. To do that off the bench in that spot, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Ice in the veins of the transfer from Troy. Like, I have no idea what Matthew Caldwell would do if he had to play a full game. Maybe we'll find out on Saturday. But right now, all this guy does is come into games and make key plays in big spots. Amazing. When you're down by 17 in the 4th quarter, you throw out the initial game plan. That's what Texas did. They went up tempo. They went spread, more 3 and 4 wide receiver sets. They threw the ball a ton, and it worked. Not Sark's ideal game plan. I think that's obvious. But with the way the run game has looked, that might need to be a bigger part of the game plan, or maybe the entire game plan for these last 4 regular season games. And I don't just mean when you're down by 3 scores in quarter number 4. 10 of Texas's first 12 possessions ended in a punt, interception, or missed field goal. Not great. But despite that, they scored 45 points and won the football game. I thought winning last week was improbable. I mean, what they did in Kentucky, that felt ridiculous. This one was basically impossible. I mean, Texas had a 1.6% win probability at one point in the fourth quarter on Saturday. They found a way to get it done. Never a dull moment being a fan of this team. Ain't that the truth? We'll take your thoughts, your biggest takeaways from the comeback victory. Are you going glass half full? Are you going glass half empty? Where are you at with Texas going into the month of November? All right, more from this game on Saturday. Almost treating this like a post-game show since I didn't get to do one over the weekend. How about some love for the most valuable player on the 2025 Texas Longhorns? I think y'all know who I'm talking about. We'll get to him next. Oh, but first, college football is here. I couldn't be more excited. I love it. Saturday was a lot of fun. And oh my gosh, for the first time in more than 40 days, there will be a home game played at DKR, Texas Memorial Stadium. There is nothing like being in the crowd. The energy in the stands, it cannot be beat. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless lines, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with zero surprise fees. So what you see is what you pay every single time. It's faster, it's easier, it's cheaper, it's less stressful than any other way that I've bought tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying your college football tickets all season long with our friends at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, welcome back to Locked On Longhorns, your team every day. 2 words to open up segment number 2. Ryan Niblett. How good is he, huh? I mean, Jeff Lebby, the head coach of Mississippi State, deserves some credit for that comeback. Like, if somehow, some way, Texas sneaks into the college football playoff this year, we should send Lebby a fruit basket or something. I don't know if he's eating a ton of fruit these days. We should send him something because obviously Texas deserves a ton of credit for being able to come back the way that they did. But yeah, Mississippi State's coaching staff and their players, they did their part, and we are very grateful to them for that. I cannot believe, I think the most egregious mistake that Mississippi State made in that fourth quarter, and there were a lot of them, I cannot believe they punted to Ryan Niblett in that spot. I couldn't believe it at the time, and 2 days later, I still can't believe it now. Did they not know how good he was? I mean, forget the Oklahoma and Kentucky games. He already had a really good return earlier on Saturday, and they still decided to punt it to him. Hey, I won't complain about gifts, especially a gift as nice as that. Wow, what a present, gift wrap and delivered from Mississippi State to Ryan Niblett, and Niblett does what Niblett does. If the season ended today, he'd be an All-American. He's been the best punt returner in the country. How about the last 7 returns for Niblett? 38 yards per return and 2 touchdowns. Of course, the dagger against Oklahoma, he basically was the entire offense in the Kentucky game. I'll give Mason Shipley some love, but he had that long 45-yard punt return that set up Texas's only touchdown in Lexington, had another long return to set up a Texas field goal in the fourth quarter in that game. And then, of course, on Saturday, the game-tying touchdown that forced overtime. This team would very likely have 2 more losses without Ryan Niblett. And it took a while for him to get going. There were a lot of people calling for Niblett's job. Hey, let's see somebody else as the return man because this thing ain't working. Credit to Steve Sarkisian and Jeff Banks for staying the course. And obviously credit to Ryan Niblett for just being one of the most electrifying playmakers in the entire sport this year. He's been amazing. How about this stat? Dating back to 2016, Ryan Niblett has the most punt return yards of any FBS player through the first 9 weeks of a college football season. So not only is he the best punt returner in the country in 2025, he's doing things that haven't been done by a return man in more than a decade. He is a difference maker. He is a total weapon. And I pray to the football gods that teams keep punting to him. Hey, Vandy, help us out a little bit, would you? Punt him the ball. That'd be nice. It's unbelievable. By the way, quick shout out to Jack Bomeister while we're on special teams. 8 punts, more than you would like, but he did a great job of flipping the field. He's been great at helping in that field position battle all season long. Let's get to the Texas defense. Look, it was a struggle for the Horns on that side of the ball for the vast majority of the game. Blake Shapen, you give him credit. He's been around forever. He had a great game. He picked apart the Texas defense, especially the Texas zone defense. The Longhorns played a lot of cover 3, and the area in between the linebackers and the safeties felt like it was wide open all day long. He's experienced. He knows a thing or two because he's seen a thing or two, and just wide open hitch routes, deep crossers. Jeff Lebby, Blake Shapen, they found something that worked, and they kept attacking it time and time again. 381 yards passing, more than 9 yards per attempt, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I'll say this, from a Texas standpoint, Michael Taft was definitely missed. Derek Williams Jr., Xavier Filsaime, they both made a few plays, but they also took their turns in screwing up, and they weren't alone. There were just a lot of blown assignments and just a lot of confusion all afternoon long for the Texas defense. Some of the box score numbers, not great. Obviously, giving up 38 points to a team that's now 0-4 in SEC play. Forget not great. That's not good. But when it mattered most, the Texas defense stepped up. How about the Bulldogs' last 4 drives? Punt, 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 and then the overtime drive that technically ended up as a fumble lost. It was on that 4th and 20, so it either would have been a turnover on downs or a fumble, but we'll take the credit for the takeaway. When it mattered most, after that really long, sort of pitch shovel touchdown to Booth early in the 4th quarter, the Texas defense stepped up. By the way, those first 2 punts were 3 and outs. Getting the ball not only back to the offense, but getting the ball back to the offense very quickly to give them enough time to score. And obviously, the biggest play of the game for the Longhorn defense, maybe outside of the game winner in overtime. 3rd and 1, Mississippi State with the football, just over 2 minutes left, right before the Ryan Niblett punt return touchdown. They bring in Kamario Taylor, the 6'4", 230-pound backup quarterback. They try to run it left, and Texas snuffed it out. Ethan Burke, I don't think has played nearly enough this year, makes a huge play. Anthony Smith was in there too. There were 3 or 4 Longhorns just ready behind the line of scrimmage to make sure that Taylor wasn't going to get there. Mississippi State picks up that first down. Who knows if Texas gets the ball back? You don't have that Ryan Niblett punt return score. I do know that. Huge play. Again, a lot of bad, a lot for Texas to clean up on the defensive side. But when it absolutely mattered most, they showed up and showed out. The grit, the toughness, the determination, the never say die attitude of this team. You can't question the culture of this group. I said that after Kentucky. I'm going to say it again. And Sark echoed the same thing in his post-game press conference Saturday night. These guys, man, they fight to the bitter end every single Saturday. Anthony Hill was awesome. My God, he was all over the place. He was a stat sheet stuffer as well. 10 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 3.5 TFLs. He continues to play like a man possessed. And I'll give the Texas run defense some credit too. Mississippi State ran for negative 34 rushing yards in the second half. Now, obviously, sack numbers sway that a lot, but the running backs only 7 carries for 21 yards. They had some success in the first half. Texas run defense a little bit better. And look, I don't want to hype up this defensive performance too much because there's a lot that went wrong. But last week, the Texas defense bailed out the offense, and Texas got a win. This week, the offense bailed out the defense, and Texas got a win. The key words there, in both of those sentences, Texas got a win. That is all that matters. And for me, the sign of a good team is a team that could win in multiple ways. Texas is starting to prove that they can win games in multiple ways. Still need more consistency. There's no doubt about that. And you don't want to be playing with fire the way that Texas has these last couple of weeks. But they found a way to get huge road victories to keep their season alive in Lexington and in Starkville. Now, in terms of opponents, the schedule gets a lot tougher as we flip over to November. But the good news, 3 of these final 4 games are here in Austin. Texas hasn't played a home game since September 20th. It'll be 42 days between home games at DKR. I think this Longhorn bunch will be ready to roll in front of what should be a fantastic crowd when Top 10 Vanderbilt shows up in what will be another must-win game for the 2025 Texas Longhorns. So awesome. So awesome. What a freaking comeback. All right. The game was amazing, but we need to talk about the report that came out Saturday morning before kickoff, and Steve Sarkisian was not happy that his name went viral over the weekend. We'll let you hear the post-game comments from Sark here in a moment, right here on Locked On Longhorns. But first, shout out to our friends at FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there is no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game, or if you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Yeah, speaking of fourth quarter comebacks, you can do that with FanDuel. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into same game parlays for a shot at even bigger payouts. Nobody has more ways to win during the NBA season than our friends at FanDuel. They keep every game more exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Yes, you heard that right. So head over to FanDuel.com today and sign up to play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, final segment, Monday edition, Locked On Longhorns, your team every day. Saturday morning, a little after 9 o'clock Central Time, ESPN's Diana Russini tweeted, quote, "I'm told that representatives for Texas coach Steve Sarkisian have let NFL decision makers know that he would be interested in potential head coaching openings, including the Titans." End quote. Everyone's seen that tweet by now. Hell, everyone saw it by like 9:10. It's tweeted at 9:05, I believe. Everyone saw it by 9:10 Saturday morning. And my first thought was, really? Right now, we're 6 hours away from kickoff for a must-win road game, and this happens? I literally looked up to see if Diana Russini went to Mississippi State. Like, we couldn't wait to do this until tomorrow. This report had to come out right now. And of course, Longhorn Nation went crazy. Some people were mad at Russini. Some people were mad at Sark. You got people accusing Steve Sarkisian and his agent, Jimmy Sexton, of certain things, trying to get more money, this, that, the other, whatever. Crazy scene. Within an hour of that tweet, CAA, Sark's representation, tweeted out a statement that said, quote, "Any reports regarding communications on coaching opportunities with NFL teams are patently false and wildly inaccurate. Sark is solely focused on coaching the University of Texas football team," end quote. For some, that was enough. For others, maybe not. And again, all sorts of conversation being had by Texas fans, but also folks all across the college football world throughout the day, before, during, and after Saturday's contest in Starkville. After the game, Steve Sarkisian was asked about that report, and, well, he was not happy about it at all. Here's what he had to say in the postgame.
I'd love to touch on this, so bear with me for a second, because it really pisses me off that one person can make a report that in turn the entire media sports world runs with as factual, to the point of my agency and my agents have to put a statement out that they never have done. Historically, CAA, Jimmy Sexton, and Ed Manowitz have never do that. But I had to do that to protect my locker room and my team. And I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. I thought it was completely unprofessional of that person to put that report out. And the fact that everybody ran with it is borderline embarrassing for the media. And I respect what you guys do. I really do. And everybody else. But the fact that everybody ran that as truth is really embarrassing. Okay, so I've got a small circle when I make decisions on what I do and what I don't do. And nobody would speak on my behalf without me knowing. And so where that report came from, I'd love to talk to that person because it's absolutely ridiculous.
Not quite the Leonardo DiCaprio, "I'm not effing leaving" speech from the Wolf of Wall Street, but Steve Sarkisian didn't really mince words, did he? Calling that report absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, that's the social media world that we live in. You're guilty until proven innocent in the court of public opinion these days. Like, if somebody reports anything like that, it must be true. We don't care to hear your thoughts on your life. If somebody else has something to say on your life, then, oh yeah, it has to be real. That's what it felt like on Saturday. Now, what happens next? For now, nothing. I hope this thing is put to bed, and I hope it stays in hibernation forever, because I'm a Sark fan, and I don't want him to leave anytime soon. Would Steve Sarkisian entertain NFL offers? I don't know. I don't think he would entertain any other college job. I don't think Texas fans have to worry about that. I think he's at maybe the best one in the country. But I think it goes without saying, being an NFL coach and being a college coach in 2025 are very different things. In the era of NIL, and revenue sharing and the transfer portal and everything else that goes along with being a college football coach, it's a little different than being in the NFL. So is there a world where Sark, who has been an assistant in the NFL before, wants to be a head coach in the highest league that the sport has to offer if an offer presented itself? Yeah, there is. But I don't think you would Nick Saban or Lane Kiffin this thing and leave in the middle of the season. And he sure as hell wouldn't have somebody report that on the day of a big conference game. And his agents are smart enough and good enough, I think, at their jobs to not leak that right now. So I'm going to take Steve Sarkisian at his word. I don't think he's going anywhere. And this team has a lot on its plate over the final month of the regular season. I'm going to focus more on that on this show. And I think Steve Sarkisian is going to be focused more on that as well. So again, what say you? Do you believe Steve Sarkisian? Do you not believe Steve Sarkisian? I think he's happy here right now. He's gotten contract extensions and raises over the last couple of years. He spent a lot of time and effort building up Texas football. Think about what it was when he got here in 2021 and where it's been the last couple of years and where it is right now. A lot of sleepless nights and a lot of hard work and dedication to get to this point. I don't know if he would just up and leave right now, or I should say at the end of the season, but we will see. But again, that was a pretty vehement denial from Steve Sarkisian right there. So I don't think we're going to see any reports like that leaked anytime soon. And I don't know if we're going to hear another member from the local media asking Steve Sarkisian that kind of question. Again, I'm mad at anybody for asking him that question. I'm glad it was asked. And Steve Sarkisian did say that he wanted to talk about it. So it would have been weird if nobody did ask about it and we wouldn't have gotten to hear anything from Coach Sark. But again, you heard it straight from the horse's mouth right there, calling the reports absolutely ridiculous. So again, bigger things to focus on down the stretch here this year. And that's what we're going to focus on Locked On Longhorns. So we'll take your thoughts, your takeaways from that craziness stemming from the Diana Rossini reports. Do you believe that Steve Sarkisian is staying? Do you believe that he is mulling potential move to the National Football League? Do you want him to stay? Do you want him to leave? Where are you at with Coach Sark and all of that craziness? And obviously added a whole nother element to what was one of the wildest Saturdays that I can remember covering the Texas Longhorns. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Longhorns. If you made it this far, number one, God bless you. Really appreciate your continued support of this channel. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, all of those great things. Again, can't thank y'all enough for your continued support of Locked On Longhorns. For your next listen, check out Locked On Bets with my man Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers. They are your one-stop shop for all of your sports betting needs. They got World Series picks. They'll have a Monday Night Football play tonight. They have you covered. Just find Locked On Bets on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. More takeaways from Mississippi State, more sound from Steve Sarkisian, and of course, we'll start to turn the page to a huge game against the Vanderbilt Commodores. Yeah, that's weird. Huge game against Vandy coming up this weekend. We'll be all over it all week long. But that'll do it for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, horns up, mics off. We'll see y'all soon. This is Locked On Longhorns.